Welcome to Typically Unique Real Talk with your hosts, Kim and Carlos. Get ready to dive into the unexpected with us each week as we bring you fresh perspectives on a wide range of topics. From the typical to the very unique, we promise to surprise you every time. Join us for thought-provoking discussions, plenty of laughs, and a whole lot of entertainment. If you're ready, let's get into it. Welcome back to Typically Unique. I'm Kim Aponte, and I'm here with my husband, Carlos.
Hello, where is here?
Right. We have moved rooms, and I spent all day, I am not kidding, all day moving things and putting things up, and just, we got a few new pieces and just remade our set. So I'm loving it. We'll see how it looks on the video, but I'm hoping it's a better setup for us.
Yeah, I think this part of the house, we're actually in the basement. Mm-hmm. And we tried to move to a cozy part of the basement, which I think this is. I think what you did with this space is incredible. We've in the 20-some years that we've lived here, I don't think we've ever used this room for anything.
The one time we did use it when the kids were little, it was a game room. Like we had that basketball hoop thing on the door.
Yeah, but I thought that was on the outside of this room. It was on
the other side,
yeah.
But we kind of had all different kinds of games set up and stuff, but it's mostly storage.
Well, and the thing is our storage room is right next door to us.
Yeah.
And that's where most of so this was kind of the auxiliary storage.
Yep, overflow area.
Before we coordinated the real storage room. So, No, I'm glad we're using this space and it looks amazing. I think what you've done here is absolutely incredible and good job.
Plus, the real reason our old space was kind of taking up our party area.
Yes.
So in our basement, we like to host parties, and that space would have to be covered up. Moving, I think, is going to be a good thing.
Yeah, well, in reality, it was our dance floor.
We call it the dance floor because that's what it looked like.
Well, it was. It's always been our dance floor, but we hadn't had dance parties in forever, and we took up half of that room to be this. And I was like, hey, we haven't, lost it all yet. We're getting older, but, we still could have a dance party here and there.
So we made a little nook. Oh, no, we'll always have dance parties. I'll be dancing in the nursing home.
So we got the dance room back, and we got this little nook that I think you've done an excellent job with. So awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
So do we want to pick a card? And
yes, let's see what we will be discussing this week.
So I'm just going to, because I really can't fan these out, I'm going to cut these a couple times and then move that like that.
Oh, and let me pick the top one.
And then just pick the top one. There you go.
That makes sense. Oh, has anyone ever saved your life?
Ooh, can I flip that?
We have to because we need to talk.
Has anybody saved my life? I would say no. I've never been in a situation that was life-threatening. I've never been distressed in a particular moment. I know you have. But a police officer kind of, read you the riot act a little bit. But I don't know if your life was in danger.
Oh, that's a good one. I got a couple, I think.
Yeah. But for me, I would have to flip it. So how about you tell your story, and then I'll tell my story of saving a life a couple times.
Okay.
Same person.
Well, I'll just refresh your memory. What about the appendix? No?
No.
Okay.
No, not really.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So I was in college. We'll just start with that disclaimer. Young and stupid. And just out having a fun night with friends. And my best friend that I met in college was dating a guy that I had grown up with since 7th grade. So we were really good friends. I introduced them. They met. They started dating. And he lived... so we were in downtown Cleveland. He lived nearby. We both had our own cars. And we're leaving to go home. The night ended. And I'm following her. And she kind of didn't, like, you know, how you kind of stop but don't stop to go through a stop sign. And I didn't know the area. I was following her. I didn't know where to go. And when she came up over this hill, after not exactly stopping, I stopped. She got pulled over by the police. So I'm like, and we've just been out. Do I want to pull up behind her and get a double stop? So I just kind of like pulled off on the side street. I'm like, I'll just do a loop around and, you know, try to see if that stop ends, and then I'll follow her. I think I went by once and she was still stopped. So I'm like, I don't want to keep going. So I'm on this side street in downtown Cleveland, don't know where I'm at, and a taxi cab pulled up. So I'm like, I want to get to a phone. This is before cell phones, okay? So no cell phone, no way to contact anybody. Taxi cab is in front of me, and a woman and a child get out. I'm like, oh, it's a mom and her kid. Feel safe. Hey, is there a payphone nearby? And she's like, yeah, right up the corner, make a left. There's a payphone. She was right. There was one there. But I didn't know where to park. And there was a gated parking lot. And just serendipitously, as I'm stopped, like, what do I do to park and get out? This guy pulls behind me and opens the gate, and it's like an automatic thing or whatever. So I just pulled in behind him. I'm like, look, I got to use the payphone. Can I go do that? And he's like, yeah, park here and go. And so I go down to the payphone and I'm trying to call my friend. He didn't answer. And someone comes around the corner and grabbed my purse. Grabbed my purse, took off running, and I was stupid, yelling at him, there's nothing in there. There was nothing in there. Like, there was no money, no credit cards, nothing in there, like my earrings and my makeup and, you know, all that, my ID and that kind of stuff. So I turn around to walk back to my car, and a police officer pulled up, and he's like, you know, what are you doing? And asking me these questions. And I'm like, well, that guy, and he's like, I've been watching you. What are you doing? And I'm like, well, then you saw that guy just take my purse, you know? And he scolded me like I was his own child. Like, we find bodies down here in the lake and, you know, all this, and you're, you know, don't be stupid, and what are you doing? And I'm like, I just want to call my friend. And he let me. I think he called for me or something. I don't know, somehow got a hold of my friend. He came, and then I followed him back to his apartment. But that was probably one of the first, like, episodes of a PTSD type feeling that I had, because I couldn't sleep that night. I just kept replaying that moment because, you know, after you're through it, you're like, oh my gosh, that could have gone so wrong. That could have gone way wrong.
Oh, for sure.
Saving my life. Yeah. And that cop just so happened to be the same one that pulled my friend over. So I think he knew what was up and what was going on. And thankfully he was keeping an eye out. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, two women coming, and you guys were coming out of the flats.
Yeah.
So you were in downtown Cleveland, but, yeah. When you told me that story, I was like, how did you put yourself in that situation? And you're like, wasn't even thinking about what neighborhood I was in, where,
Nope.
you know, that there could be any danger lurking.
Nope.
You know, you were singularly focused on, hey, I just want to
Get a phone.
get a phone, go to my friend's house, you know? And so I think as parents, sometimes, you know, we're like, we tell our kids, you know, hey, you got to be vigilant and you got to understand your surroundings. And you're like, you know, and, you know, well, you know, your mom's kind of been through this, you know, so
Yeah,
you gotta
right.
you got to be careful because it can happen. And I know, sure, please. No, go ahead.
So, yeah, just to put a bow on that, probably it was a while, 6 to 8 years. Like, it was a long time, 5, 6 years, I don't know, later. My license from that night and some other kind of card was sent to me in the mail. Like, that gave me chills when that happened.
Yeah, for sure.
So who knows where that came from and what had happened to that purse and everything inside of it.
Yeah, crazy. But I think it was always important that we were trying to make sure we're vigilant, telling our kids to be vigilant. But even Kim and I think as we travel and we're different cities and we're in places we don't realize, you know, sometimes, you know, I'm telling her, hey, you know, kind of watch out, you know, stand over here, stay back.
I'm aware now.
Yeah, but still, I know carefree. Like, I mean, I'm a pretty big guy and, you know, you don't have to worry about your surroundings, but there's occasion I'm like, you know, hey, there's someone walking up behind you, you know, come back over here, you know, and she'll be like, oh gosh, I didn't even realize, you know, so, you know, it's always good to be vigilant, you know, of your surroundings, spidey sense in college. But,
yeah, that was before my true crime days.
Yeah, you certainly have it now. I don't think I've parked next to a white van in a parking lot in over 20 years. So
I try to be very aware of my surroundings.
Right. Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So for me, I think, you know, I said at the beginning that I haven't been in a situation, thank goodness. Hopefully it stays that way. But I did have the opportunity to save a life. I think one time was kind of saving a life. Time was absolutely saving a life. And it happened with the same person, if you can believe that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was in high school, and I was invited to a birthday party of a high school friend who had a pool, an in-ground pool, not just one of those,
Nice.
you know, above-ground pool, but an in-ground pool. And actually, this high school friend was, I think, our lone member of a swim team because they didn't have an organized swim team like they do today.
Right.
So she was the lone representative of our high school swim team. So she did individual events. We didn't have any relays. And she was actually pretty good. She was actually somebody who was kind of breaking some records or coming close to some records of some girl who was an Ashtabula native who was like an alternate in the Olympics, like in the late 70s, early 80s. So
Wow.
she was on the cusp of that. Very good,
Yeah.
you know? And so I was happy just to be invited to a party. I was very shy in high school, kind of outcast, you know, not outcast in the sense that people shunned me. I shunned people. You know, I was very quiet and
Important distinction.
yeah, didn't you know, kind of run with a particular crowd or anything, but was very happy to get this invitation. So I went, and a friend of mine had went. I can call him Wilson, you know, and so me and Wilson were pretty good friends. He was swimming in this pool. And so a bunch of us were, you know, jumping in on the deep end and stuff like that. Well, he decided to jump on the deep end. Now, he could swim if he could get himself horizontal. But if he was vertical, he couldn't contort his body to get horizontal and then swim. So he would like go to the bottom, push off, and then try to get himself horizontal and then swim. And he would do that on the
Interesting.
shallowish end of the pool. Well, he jumped in on the deep end, and he didn't have enough breath to like sink himself to go to the bottom, push up, and then get horizontal. And he was an ugly swimmer. So I'm like the only one who noticed this. So I jump into the pool, and he's at this point, he tried to dive down like a couple times, and he didn't make it. So when he'd come to the surface, he's like,
right,
freaking out.
Yeah, when you don't get that push off. That's
right. So I jump
terrifying.
in, I come in underneath him, and immediately I knew I'm going to try to get him horizontal and help push him towards the edge of the pool. The minute I got underneath him and started to turn him, he grabbed my head.
Oh, jeez.
And everything they say about panic and,
that,
people will drown the person who's out there to save.
Yep.
100% happened. I mean, he was so panicked. He was literally pushing me under to get himself surfaced.
Right.
So what I did was I grabbed a quick breath, went down to the bottom, pushed off, came up like full speed. I mean, I pushed off with everything I had, turned him and kind of diagonally towards the side of the pool, which he kind of thrusted out of the water a little bit. Now other people
noticing,
see what's going on. I kind of thrust and pushed him away from me. People kind of grabbed him as he came to the edge, pulled him up on the edge. I come up for air. I'm like, oh my God, it was like the last second. I come up for air, and he makes it to the side, and he's kind of like out of breath. He's just done. He's spent. People were like, "Oh man, you saved his life," and I was like, I was kind of mad at him. I was like, "Well, you almost killed me," But so I mean, that was kind of cool. I mean, he was appreciative, but he was just too spent to even have a conversation about it or anything like that. So because we were friends, we kind of talked about it a little bit. I razzed him about it a little bit. Probably a few months later, we were in the weight room in high school doing doing some weight training for basketball and stuff like that. And he was down there. And so we were in the weight room. I had walked away, went to go to my locker or do something. And I just see all this commotion, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Apparently this same Wilson is having a seizure.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so unbeknownst to me, I just see all these people running. So I'm coming back to see what's going on. Luckily, next to the weight room, there was this coach's office that had a phone. They'd called an ambulance and actually called his family to say, hey, we're going to be taking him. We called the ambulance. We're going to take him to the hospital, yada, yada, yada. Well, his family literally lived down the street.
Oh.
So they lived, 5 blocks away. So they pulled up before the ambulance did. And he was way out of eyes rolled in the back of his head, just nothing. So people were saying, hey, let's get him outside. So I pick him up.
Oh, wow.
And I carry him outside of the weight room, up these steps, out this door.
I know it well.
And it was still winter-ish time because it was basketball season, right? So it was winter-ish time, so pretty cold. So I come outside waiting, hoping to see the ambulance. Don't see the ambulance, but I see his family pull up.
Oh, wow.
Literally throw him in the back of the car. They rush him to the hospital.
Yeah.
And of course, everything was fine. He's still with us today. He's actually a referee and has refereed some of Carly's basketball games,
Yeah.
And it's funny because every time I see him, if I'm in the stands, he'll kind of, see me up there. We'll kind of give bro hugs, and hey, how you doing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but,
those are a couple special moments.
Yeah. But so I take him to the car, they rush him. Everything's okay with him. Luckily, I think not the next day in school, but the day after, he comes back and he's like, hey, Carlos, I was in the hospital. And I was like, oh, you were? And he's like, yeah, apparently, I was lifting weights and I had like a seizure or something, so they kept me overnight, and today's my first day back, and my family had to rush me to the hospital. I go, Wilson, how do you think you got to the car? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I'm the one that carried you upstairs so you could get in the car.
He wouldn't remember.
No,
he wouldn't know that.
He had no idea. He was totally oblivious to it. But no, I mean, I don't know if that's a great life-saving story, but it was just funny because I still see him to this day. And I think I told you at the last game, because he was refereeing one of my brother's basketball games because he's a coach, right? And I says, I don't know if he's ever really properly thanked me for saving it. He is on this earth because of me. I should get a percentage of this reffing job, because he is here because of me. Just
Jokes.
jokingly, but yeah. No, but that's it for me.
Special.
Yep. Anything else on this topic? Have you seen anybody be saved?
Oh my goodness, I would have to rack my brain. After this ends, I'm going to think of 10 different things.
Well, I don't even think we've been in a position where we thought, oh, that was a bad accident, or, somebody, they called the ambulance in our vicinity and, in front of us. I don't think any of that, luckily, knock on wood, has ever happened.
No, we had to call 911 a couple. Remember we were in Menor and we had to call 911?
Oh, for the lady?
What was that?
Oh, that's right.
I don't remember the story. Can you?
We could have saved a life with that.
What was going on?
So this is a good one, actually. And as I tell it, you're going to remember. So try to fill in the blanks here. But we were coming back from Cleveland. We had about a quarter to the Mentor area. So it's about, 50, 60 miles. So we're 20 miles away
probably
from Cleveland.
Some food.
Yeah, probably getting some food. Actually, we were at a Burger King on a Menor exit or something. And when we pulled in, a lady opened up her door and screamed out, "Help me, help me, help me."
Yes.
Do you remember this?
Yes.
And
because next to the Burger King was, I think it was an abandoned restaurant or
like
something. There was this
John
big
Silver's
empty parking lot.
Yes.
And so this car was just like sitting there, moving a little bit, then stopping and then moving. And we're like, it just caught our attention.
Right.
So we like started looking. And then, the car door opens and we're like, oh my gosh. And at this time, by this time, I'm watching true crime shows. So I'm like, we're ready to jump into action. Like,
so
what's going on?
I pull up behind them and Kim rolls down the window and says, clearly asks, "Do you need help?"
Do you need help?
And she said,
yes.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why we sprung into action.
Yes.
So I had it was.
But she didn't get out of the car.
No, she was still in there because he pulled off.
Because she was kind of like wanted to get out, but as soon as she did that, the car took off.
Took off. So the door closed. So we start following the car, and I call 911.
Calling 911 at the same time because we're like, we're not letting this car get out of our sight.
Right. So I think I called 911, but turned the phone over to you. Mm-hmm. Because
you're driving and trying to follow the car.
So we're going the opposite way of how we would go home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So now we're following this car, and Kim is reading off.
Yeah, the 911 operator is like asking me where we're at, and I'm just reading off street names. We're passing this street. We're passing this street.
And then at some point, they're like, okay, what car is the car? And I think we tried to get the license plate.
Yeah, I kept telling you, get closer so we could see. Because they weren't going slow either, I don't think.
I didn't know if they had a gun.
Right.
So I get a little close, but you better 20/20 vision this. Because I don't want to get... I was getting a little close, but they were asking for license plates and descriptions.
Yes.
So I think Kim was reading off the description, not only of their car, but our car. right? Because we were following. We didn't want them to pull us over.
Oh, right.
You know, because we didn't want, because we were male and female in the car. They were male and female in the car. We didn't want them to pull us over. So you're like, we're in a whatever. I don't know.
Probably the black Buick.
The
back
black
then.
Buick, yeah.
And I want to say that car was green. Why do I think
was black.
green?
It was black.
Their car was black.
Oh, their car was green. Yeah,
yeah.
Their car
theirs
was green. Ours was black. Yep. So we made a clear distinction as to whose car was what.
Yep.
So then we saw coming behind us. Well, I saw through the rearview mirror the police coming. So and this couple, right, this distressed couple, turned down this side road. The police put on their lights, so I turned down the side road, but immediately pulled over.
Yeah, we just
So
pulled
we
over
were
and
like
let the cops
right
go.
on the turn, right?
Yep.
We weren't down the street. We were like just past the turn, right on the corner.
Oh my gosh, I remember this like it was yesterday.
Isn't it coming back to you
Yeah.
now as I'm telling this story? I'm like, oh my God. So the cop goes around me, blocks me in because he goes sideways in front of me. I'm like this. The cop's like this. The other car stopped and was in front of them. And then a car behind me and a car beside me. So now we are completely blocked in. So there's nowhere for us to go. Police get out of their cars with weapons drawn, right? And they're starting to, do you remember this?
That's coming back to me. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So they come out of the car with weapons drawn. The woman opens the door and is like, get away, go away. Now she's completely changing her tune.
Oh, yeah.
Remember this?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this son of a gun.
Yep.
Like, I was pissed.
Yep.
You know, she's like, get away. And I think the cops was like, oh, the guy's telling her.
Right. Of course.
Tell them,
Yeah.
right? You know, so.
Yeah.
So I
I'll
was
kill
like,
you if you.
right.
Yeah,
so I was kind of pissed because she was like changing her tune, but really it was probably the guy telling her to tell them.
Right. And who knows if he did have a weapon or what he was doing to make her
funny
say
part's
that.
about to come, right?
This is my memory. Like, I remember everything up to this point. I'm like, he's telling me the story for the first time. Like, I'm trying to
oh, this is the greatest
but
part.
I do remember sitting there with the cops, but the cops did get in front of them to stop them. How did they stop?
No. Wait a minute. If you don't remember, let me tell it, please.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Please don't offer any false information. I got this. So
I'll ask questions for you, dear listeners.
So there are literally 3 cops surrounding my car. The car did stop and pull over. No cop was in front of them. All the police were behind that car and surrounding our car. Kim had the window rolled down and a cop creeped past her window, right? And the cop said, hey, get down.
No!
Kim went into the nook between the dashboard and the seat. You remember this now?
Yes.
She got under
I'm
there.
freaking out.
Yeah.
Freaking out.
And I'm just leaning over the armrest. So Kim's underneath the dash. I'm leaning over the armrest.
Get down. Oh my
Yep.
God.
And all I see is that same cop running back and fell off the curb into our car. I was like, oh my God, they're shooting. We're about to die. And I'm screaming at Kim, get out. She's like, what? I'm like, get your head down. Get your head down. And I'm like, so what happened was.
I wanted to see what was happening.
So at this point, I'm like, the cop fell into our car because he fell off the curb. But what happened was the woman had opened up the door again. So as the cops were kind of going toward the cars, when the woman opened up the door
he
again,
freaked out and ran
they
back.
freaked out. They all started retreating back. He fell off the curb into our car, which freaked us out. And I was like, and at this point, Kim's like, get out of here, get out of here. I'm like, I'm
Oh,
stuck.
yeah. I'm like, we need to leave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now I'm like,
yeah.
I'm stuck. I'm boxed in. I can't go anywhere.
Right.
You know? So apparently when the woman opened the door, she got out of the car. They brought her back.
Yeah.
And then they went and got the guy. And then the whole time she was back, kind of near our car, because they had kind of, are you okay? And she's like, well, he didn't do anything. And she started doing that whole thing. And I was like, so the cop who fell and told us to get down comes back to our car. And I says, hey, do we need to stick around?
Right.
Because we're traumatized. And I said, look, we were kind of traumatized, but until you fell into our car, we're totally traumatized at this
So
point.
refresh my memory, because you say fell into our car. What does that mean? What is
So-
that? Was have a door open?
No,
Like,
no,
what do
no,
you mean?
no. The window was open. The door was closed, but he was on the outside of our car, and we were right around the corner. So the curb, instead of it going straight, he was running backwards because the woman got out of the car, and the curb started curving because that's where we were. So he kept running straight. He fell off the curb, and that's where our car was, and he literally fell against our car.
Oh, okay.
Literally his shoulder in the window.
Okay.
And at that point, I was like, roll up the window. You know? I was like, what the heck?
I was trying to hear.
Yeah. And you were like popping your head out. I was like, get down. But no, and so he came up to the
That
car.
was so long ago.
Oh, that
wow.
was 20 some years ago. Easy.
Yeah.
But I remember him coming to the car. I said, hey, can we get out of here? I'm like, I'm traumatized. Like, my heart is like through my chest. You know, Kim's like freaking out. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I'm behind you. I'll back up. So they stopped. And it was a pretty busy road in this Menor area. He like backed up. He stopped traffic. We were able to back up, completely turn around. I mean, he got our information. He says, look, if we need anything specific from you, we got it, but otherwise we got your 911 call and we were on scene for, you know, what happened. So, but did we save a life? I don't know if we saved a life, but you never know.
We saw something, so we did something,
yeah.
you know, and that's what you're supposed to do. And
Exactly.
she did say she needed help. So,
Well, she was, and kudos to you for like even screaming out the window, do you need help?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, most people, I mean, I was probably prepared to just drive off, be like, oh, a little domestic up there, you know. But when she opened the door and you were like, do you need help? And she answered you quickly, like, yes, I do.
Yep.
We like sprung into action.
That was just pretty obvious that there was something going on. That wasn't just like a little argument or anything. It was weird. Like, she kept trying to get out of the car and then in the car and then out of the car. Like, she was trying to get away and couldn't.
Yeah, because every time he would slow down, she'd open up the door and then he'd speed up again, you know. So there had to be something going on. But I can't believe I just remembered that story. That was literally 20 some years ago that happened.
You should give me credit because I remembered that story and I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
Like, you told it, but
Yeah.
I was like, hey, remember that time?
Wow.
I just had like a glimpse, like a flashback.
But other than that, I really can't think of anything that was.
No, that's a pretty big one.
But that one was scary at first, funny for a little bit, and scary again.
That got real fast.
Yeah, and then by the time, because then it was probably another 40-minute drive home. I think we were like, oh my God, what did we just do? Then we laughed about it. Then we're like, could we have died? You know, I think we went through all the emotions of that whole situation.
You never know.
Yep.
You never know what you're going to come across.
Well, that turned out to be a little better than what I thought it would be. So maybe we'll end it on that. What do you think?
Yep, that sounds good. So we're always going to ask you the question that we have answered. So if you've ever had a chance to save a life, let us know about it in the comments. And please don't forget to hit the like button. Please, we are severely lagging on. We get a couple likes, but then 50 views. So please let us know if you're watching.
Yeah.
And subscribing to a channel on YouTube is completely free.
Free of charge.
It just means it's like following on Facebook. It's like you're following somebody. It doesn't mean you're like paying a monthly membership or anything like that. It's just, it's a subscribe button, but it's just like you're following that channel. So,
and the only thing it'll be when we post a new video, maybe it'll just notify you that, hey, there's another one of these out there that maybe you'd find interest in, you know?
So we would appreciate that if you could do that for us.
And definitely the comment, I think this one was, has anyone ever saved your life?
Oh, true.
But it could be, have you ever saved anyone? So we did both.
We flipped it.
Yeah, we did both. So we'd like to hear from you, one or the other.
And hey, it's our show, our rules. So
amen, sister. Amen.
We got to tweak it however we can to have a discussion.
That's
so
right.
We just want to have interesting discussions. So, all right. We hope we'll see you back on the next episode. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.